We are here today to discuss the film documentary Puppy Love, a true story that explores themes of humanity, community, love, conflict, and legacy all come into play when a healthy litter of puppies is suddenly paralyzed and no one knows why. The vets, they recommend putting the dogs down, but a group of courageous women rally together to save these Labrador puppies. Nothing is off the table as they try to bring healing and restoration to man's best friend. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the director of Puppy Love, Gail Gilbert, to the show. Welcome, Gail.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I tell you what, I watched the full documentary of Puppy Love, and wow, what an incredible story. And aren't you one of the owners of one of the puppies, or now the adult dogs?
Yes, the whole story began when my puppy became paralyzed, and started shooting when he was healthy, but when he got paralyzed, I shot even more and took him back to the trainer and found more dogs that were paralyzed.
Now, which Labrador is yours?
Mine is Scout. He's the tallest one, the heaviest one, the one everybody complains when they pick him up because he's so heavy.
Well, how many puppies were in the litter?
There were seven, five boys and three girls. I'm sorry, seven, I can't do math. Five boys and two girls. I'm so nervous. And
Well,
one of the boys went off to Nebraska, and his mother, found a holistic vet she worked with, and she recuperated him on her own. And then the four of us went back to the breeder, and we all worked together in unison.
well, how many ended up with paralysis, and did the sex of the dog matter?
Yes, it was only the males. And I had the vet who's actually in the movie, came to our screening. We had a screening here in Chicago, and someone asked her why was it only the males, and she said that female dogs' immune systems develop at a different rate than male puppies, and so it made perfect sense to her that at 8 weeks the female puppies had a stronger immune system and could ward off whatever it was that causes paralysis, and the males, it just took them down.
Well, what caused the paralysis?
We don't know. It's really up in the air. I mean, the vets say they see this a lot. She said, "Oh yeah, people talk about it a lot at vet conferences, and basically the standard practice is to put them down because who wants to be lifting up a puppy who gets bigger and bigger and bigger to go to the bathroom 5 times a day?" And um, but it could be the vet that did the most testing said it's definitely from an outside source. So it would be either a reaction to a vaccine or some type of a parasite that they could have gotten in vitro from their mother or something, or something called coonhound paralysis, which nobody really knows how it's caused or what it does, other than makes it paralyzed.
Well, I know that y'all did the testing and you found out that the paralysis wasn't genetic, like you said, that it was from an outside source. I have we have a dog of our own, and we're always reading literature when it comes to vaccines. Vaccines continue to change and evolve, and even our veterinarian does not like the new versions of certain vaccines and actually likes to use the older versions because he has seen where some dogs end up with a vaccine injury. Was this always in the back of your mind with these four puppies?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, uh, we have no way of proving it, but they did all come down with it a week after they got a vaccine.
A week. Okay, so all right, let's do a timeline here. So these puppies are 8 weeks old. When were they to get a particular vaccine? Before they were handed over to the new owners, or were the new owners responsible for doing that once they got home?
They were vaccinated by the breeder. I think the protocol at that time was 6 to 8 weeks for this particular vaccine. It's the parvo distemper vaccine. And I've been told, and I keep looking online, I can't find anything to support this, but that the protocol from the national protocol for that particular vaccine has been pushed back to 16 weeks. So who knows?
Oh, well, so then in a way, that is basically silently acknowledging that, let's say, male puppies, their immune systems would be, let's say, much stronger by 16 weeks.
Oh, definitely. definitely.
Yeah.
So hopefully it will happen less, you know,
Well,
hopefully.
I've read research where, like the new rabies shot, has been prone to be causing paralysis in dogs, and that's where our veterinarian likes to go back and use the older versions because some rabies shots for dogs today, it's almost like a 3 year deal. It's almost like giving them a 3 year dose all at once. And when we did that with ours, she didn't end up with a problem, but it really did a number on her for a few days because it was so strong all at one time. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have a pet, if you're thinking about getting a pet, especially a puppy, male or female, do your research and maybe even talk to your veterinarian before you actually get one, and find a veterinarian that you really, really like, and that you have a good rapport with, because that's extremely important when it comes to raising a new member of the family. Uh,
Mhm.
and for you, Gail, was this form of paralysis common in Labradors and other breeds, or was it just kind of broad spectrum across dogs?
It's a broad spectrum. I was just at the National Labrador Show in outside Seattle, and I was talking to the Labrador Club, which is the National Labrador Club, and all the members. No one had ever heard of it. I mean, it's very it's unique, and it's definitely not something that's Labradors are prone to at all. Um, but the story, it goes beyond the paralysis to talk about the humans and not giving up. I think it's really about, we had this problem that we had no idea what it was, but we weren't going to give up on these puppies because they were fine to begin with. We had to figure out how to get them back to where they were.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you because, here's these, with you included, these courageous women decide to go against the normal recommendation of putting the dogs down and wanted to really, well, bring them back to good health and restore their ability to be a healthy dog that runs and jumps and loves their owner. What made y'all choose the route to try to bring healing to them?
Well, partially because everyone loved this breeder, and they love her. Dogs are special because she breeds Labradors that aren't just for hunting, they're not just for showing, they're basically Labradors that can do anything. Obedience, agility, rally, serve all she always has one dog of her litter as a service dog. I mean, her dogs are just really a special line of dogs, and, she decided this was her last litter. She was 65, 68 years old, and nobody wanted her to lose her last litter.
Wow, so this was her last litter, and I know
Mhm.
her name is Cindy, and she didn't want to appear on camera. Why?
She just is camera phobic. I sent it to her son, and he said, "Wow, for someone who's camera phobic, you actually made a movie with her in it." So, yeah, she was like, "Put the camera away." I'm like, "Okay, I won't shoot you," and I just kinda move it off to the side, and yeah.
Well, I
It
was interested because as I was watching it, what kind of cameras did you use? I actually saw, I think one of you, possibly with a GoPro, on your forehead.
That was me. I went out to help her one day and there was nobody to shoot video. So I thought, well, I should at least catch whatever. I didn't know how I was going to find the dogs. I didn't know, if anybody be walking yet. I didn't know what the status would be. I was terrified she'd be like putting one of them might have been even put down. There was a point where I was really worried every time I drove up that one of them would be gone. So I put a GoPro on my head, and yeah, you see my reflection in the window. But I mean, I started just with my cell phone shooting the healthy puppies, and then um, a friend of mine came like a 7D, basically DSLRs to begin with, and then a friend of mine donated or let me borrow his 4K camera. So as the film kind of turned into more of a movie shoot, we progressed in the quality of our cameras and our camera people. We had real cameramen and stuff by the end.
Well, is this your first film?
It's my first feature. I've made a few short narratives, and those are all planned out with the crew and everything. This was just something that we were just shooting from the hip. I honestly didn't know if we'd have a film. I every time the phone call and I saw her number in the, caller ID. I was afraid she was calling to tell me that one dog just died. So I honestly just thought we should document them because they were really brave and they were really cute. So I'd say the first half of the movie was just me wanting to, pay homage to the dogs. And then all of a sudden when I realized, "Oh, they're getting better, this is a story," then I got more, aggressive about turning it into, real shoots.
Well, it flowed absolutely perfectly. I mean, regardless of all the different types of cameras that you used, it flows. You don't, from a cinema point of view, you don't see the difference or changes in film. But let's get down to the healing here. So I got to hand it to you on the cinematography part. Absolutely fantastic. But I want to get down to uh, all of the ladies working with these puppies. One of the ladies said that she used herbs. Can you tell me what herbs were used?
She went to a Chinese healer, Chinese medicine doctor, and, he prescribed certain Chinese herbs that were for, different things. One was for, I think inflammation, one was to help with his ligaments, one there were like 6, and we had to pour all this powder on them and on their food, and at some point, we had to put them in hot water so that they were liquid. Because at one point, the dogs couldn't chew, we had to pry open their mouths with our hands and take a syringe full of liquid and shoot it into their mouth, and that was the only way we could get nutrition in them. Um, and all this time, while this friend of ours was doing all this, the breeder, Cindy, would be in the kitchen going, "Hocus pocus, I don't believe any of this crap." And, there was just there was a lot of questioning back and forth. I was like, "What are we doing?" But so we don't know what worked. We were willing to try anything, honestly.
I was trying to make a list as I was watching the film. So you had arnica for inflammation, and a lot of my viewers and listeners know about wellness, so they're very familiar with arnica. I was surprised about the dandelion stew. Literally going out into the yard, picking up all the dandelions. Which, when I saw that, I knew right offhand that it was there to improve the purification of the liver to possibly get out of the system what could have been causing the paralysis since it was an outside source. I thought the chicken soup was interesting, and then a whole host of Chinese herbs and even homeopathic remedies. Even what acupuncture was used.
Oh, acupuncture and chiropractic. We had a chiropractor who was a friend of the breeders who'd come like 3 times a week and work on these dogs. And she took the little one, Oliver, home several times so that she could work on him all day long and all night. And just so he spent some time with her. And then we saw this new vet halfway through the movie who had us all switch to a raw diet.
Yeah, and when I saw I guess the acupuncturist to the massage therapist, especially with Oliver, I found it interesting that she actually brought up the point that it wasn't that the muscles were tight; it was the ligaments that were actually tight. And now Oliver had, was it his front legs or hind legs that he had a twist in the bone or the
It's
joint?
his front legs. So and he's still that way. I see him all the time. He's the happiest boy, but he walks like Charlie Chaplin. His legs don't really bend, and he's so cute. He's really cute.
And I was, to me that was kind of a tense moment in the
Oh,
film with Oliver. Was it? I'm sure it was a surprise to everyone that I know that the thought of putting Oliver down was discussed, but then something new was being tried with Oliver, and then within 2 weeks he started to stand up. What happened?
well, it really was, Amanda, the other woman, the 4th woman, she just got sick of she said, "You're feeling." He's just feeling sorry for himself, and so she's just because we worked together, we'd have him on the rug in our office, and she'd just go over there and hold him between her legs and say, "Come on, stand up. You better stand." And she started yelling, literally yelling, and she's this little, like, 4'6" woman, and, she just would yell at him, and finally, he just did it.
Now, when did the underwater treadmill come into play? Which I thought was a very interesting therapeutic device.
That was about a month after, no, 2 weeks after Oliver started walking. We took him to that vet. And my dogs still do that underwater treadmill.
Yeah, because the underwater treadmill actually what takes the stress off the joints, but actually gives them better resistance to build up their muscles than just like you mentioned in the film, just the air, because the
Mhm.
air doesn't provide enough resistance like water does.
Yeah, it's my because the puppies are now 11 years old, so they're on the older side. And my and Scout, it just is he's got great mobility. He's and I think a lot of it has to do with that underwater treadmill.
Well, how many months from the point of being paralyzed? Now, all four puppies were not paralyzed the same. Some of them were only hind legs. I think two, what the paralysis actually reached the throat where they are even turning their head, which is why uh, they had to be bottle fed.
Actually, all of them were paralyzed all the way up to their neck originally. It's just that 2 of them came out of it much quicker, like within a week. Then it was just like to their chest. And then within another week, they could move their front leg. I could be wrong. It could be more like after 2 weeks that, but so it was just a different progression. But all of them had it all the way through their neck where they could just blink and swallow.
I mean, was there ever a point in time over the many months of ever giving up, or was it just tenacity and passion and maybe a little bit of stubbornness to see this whole thing through?
I wanna say it's what you're saying. We all were you never we had tenacity and all this stuff. I'm sure there were moments where we all were gonna give up individually, but never vocalized it. I just don't remember them because, and now we're so happy that they're all great that I just think of it as, "Oh, we never wanted to give up," and that I nobody ever vocalized it to any of us. I mean, we never
So,
brought that up.
so when did with probably not counting Oliver, but with the other three, um, when did they actually start their training that Cindy is known for?
The minute they could walk. So there's this, we started with the ducks for the hunt trials. You saw Shooter could barely move, and he was going after his ducks. And he's now got his junior hunt title. He's did fabulous in the hunt world. Um, I would just say as soon as they could walk, we started basically the retrieving and the obedience. She was really big on obedience, healing properly, proper manners. She was kind of a taskmaster.
Why was it so important for these dogs to receive their certificate of training?
The working certificate? Yeah,
Yes, the working
that
certificate.
that's just like the lowest level in the hunt world, but it just shows that a Labrador can do what it was bred to do, which is run 100 yards. Actually, it's probably more like 50 yards, but the ones we went to were 100 yards back then. It was 100 yards, pick up a duck, bring it back, and bring it back to its trainer. So just the idea that the dog can run properly, can fetch properly, can hold while he's running, and can return to his trainer is, that's like the bare minimum of any kind of training. And the fact that they all could do it within, I think they all got it when they were like 10 months old.
Well, what was it like taking all of them to their first event?
Oh, that was amazing. When we went down to Labrador Nationals, it was just amazing. We live in Chicago, and we drove down to St. Louis, where the Purina has this beautiful facility, and it was just that was the dogs were they were so happy, and we were so happy. It was kind of a dream of mine that the movie would have. We'd all end up at a dog show. I didn't know we'd end up at that dog show, but it blew my mind.
Oh, so going down to the Labrador Nationals in St. Louis, that was a pretty big deal then.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It never occurred to me that we would do it, and I just found out randomly that Penny and Michelle had entered Oliver and Shooter, which I hadn't really done any training with my dog or anything, so that blew my mind. So, yeah, it was great to see what people do at those levels. At that point, I didn't know anything about dog training. I didn't know honestly, anything about it at all. And so I've spent the whole time I've been editing this movie, I've been training my dogs to kind of know it more so I can be more authentic because it's a foreign world. And so now I've trained my dogs in hunt and in obedience and in tracking. Scout got his tracking title. Oliver got his champion tracking title, which is really hard to get. Really, really hard to get.
Wait. Oliver. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when you see the film, Oliver's original name is White, which I thought was weird. So I'm glad y'all changed. So I was glad it was changed to Oliver. And Oliver was the one that really had the worst case and then the longest healing from the paralysis. Um, wow, that is I'm so proud of Oliver for getting the champion version. I mean, what was it like when you went to the Labrador Nationals? What in the world were people thinking when they saw Oliver for the first time?
There was some pushback. There were people who said, what's with that? Because historically, if breeders had problems with a purebred dog to maintain the quality of the breed, you would put that dog down. So there was some pushback, but since he was fully grown and he was competing in his own little way, actually getting a champion tracking title is not little. Only like 15% of all dogs who try over their lifetime get it. I mean, it's a very hard title to get. But now, when he goes to shows, he's the hit of the show. Everybody knows him. He's Oliver.
It's funny because I think more than half the nation probably spends a lot of time on Instagram, for example, and there are so many dog videos, from funny ones to ones that'll just pull the tears out of your eyes, and then you see a lot of pets that may have been injured. Maybe they lost a limb, and but the owners continue to maybe build a contraption of some sort for these dogs to continue to have a full life, and that the owners just absolutely pour so much love upon them. I think Oliver's an inspiration.
Oh, completely. Completely. Yeah, he's our mascot.
Well, what in the world at that time, what was Cindy thinking?
I don't know. I think she was overwhelmed, and I think the fact that we all went to help her helped, just keep her moving forward. Her husband was also very ill, so I think her focus was on him. So I don't know. I never really talked about it with her other than just to do whatever she said. I'd walk in the door and she'd say, okay, go feed those guys and take those guys outside and blah, 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 whatever. I just kind of followed my marching orders, but I never sat down and had like an in-depth conversation about what are we doing?
Well, she raised Labradors for 40 years, and wasn't this the first litter that this had ever happened before?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's the first litter of any Labrador anybody's ever heard of, but yeah, she's never had any problems with any of her dogs. Her dogs were always, either they were going on to compete or they were going to homes that would get, she had plenty of families who had several of her dogs over many generations. Yeah,
Wow. So, this was her last litter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, I know that you mentioned in the film, um, of course, Cindy's husband passed. And when did Cindy pass?
She died when the puppies were 3.
3 years old. Now, so wait, not 19. In 2016, the AKC awarded Cindy Breeder of the Year. Can you tell us about that?
It's a huge honor, and nobody knew she was even up for it. Somehow or another, Penny, who's in the film, found out that a package had been returned to the AKC that said her ribbon had been returned to them, and they didn't know that she had passed away. So they had just sent her the ribbon and not notified anybody else. So somehow or another, Penny got the ribbon, and it's basically it's a Breeder of the Year in tracking, which is unheard of for a Labrador because Labradors aren't known for being good tracking dogs. And out of the 7 puppies in that last litter, 4 of them are champion tracking dogs, which is another unheard of thing. 4 or
And one of
5.
them's Oliver.
Yeah, Oliver, Shooter, Dylan, the one in Nebraska, and their sister, yeah, 4, and their sister Cheddar. And the
Now,
other
now,
right,
Red ended up being what? Is Red basically just a pet?
yeah. Mhm.
Was he the one that did want to jump in the water?
No, that was my well, he finally did. Yeah, but he's the one in nationals, yeah, who wouldn't go in the water. Yeah.
I thought that was actually kind of cute, actually. I mean, ours doesn't really like the water, and our other one will literally jump into the pool if you turn your back.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just so crazy that the boys wouldn't jump in the pool, and the girls at our at the pool birthday party, the girls are jumping in all the time, but the boys are just like, I don't know about this."
Wow, I find that kind of odd. I'm surprised that regardless of being male or female, so, and let's just say Labradors, and I've seen golden retrievers. I mean, they literally will just jump into a body of water and not even think twice about it.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
and Labradors have to, and so I guess the male Labradors were actually thinking, I don't know if I want to get wet today.
Oh, no, they would go in the stairs. They didn't they'll go in a pool I mean, in a lake, they go in a lake, no problem. They just never jumped in a pool before, so they were freaked out.
Wow, that is so. Out of the 7 puppies, 4 received what you said their champion tracking certificate.
Yeah, yeah.
My goodness, what an incredible accomplishment. And to know where they came from. I mean, how many months was it? I was trying to count the months as I was watching the film. Was it 9, 10 months
It was
when they really came into their own? Or I mean, Oliver's really the only one that shows any lasting effects from the paralysis, correct?
Yeah, yeah, no one would know it from any of the other dogs, and Oliver, it's only when he turns and walks right at you. He just has a little wobble, and you see those legs don't bend. But it took when they were about 10 months old when we went down to Labrador Nationals, or 9 and a half, and that's when all of them were pretty much almost normal. I mean, they still have work to do, but, by the time they were a year, they were really good.
Wow. So basically, let's say 9.5 to 10 months later, the stage at which they were at that point is basically where they are now.
Yeah. Mhm.
That is extremely remarkable. And ladies and gentlemen, you have to see this film, Puppy Love. It's inspiring. I think not only inspiring for our pets, Gail, I think it should be inspiring for us that we ourselves need to push harder, and regardless what could be holding us back, maybe it was an injury, that we can even reach champion status as well.
Thank you, I think so too.
Well, where can everyone see the film?
Well, it just was released last week on Amazon, on Apple TV, on, Vimeo on demand, and Google Plus, I think it's called. Google there's a few of them. But basically, you gotta make sure you're watching the Puppy Love documentary because there's a Puppy Love rom-com that just came out as well.
Yeah, I saw that on IMDb that there is about 3 puppy loves out there. But ladies and gentlemen, you have to pick the one that's about these beautiful Labrador retrievers, and it is a stunning film. And Gail, how long did it take you to film it, and how long did it take you to edit it and get it ready? Uh, I guess to take it to festivals.
It took about a year to film because it was from the time they were born until they were a year old, and then it took me 3 years to edit it because I didn't work full time on it. I had a job, so I did it when I could, and so I started right with COVID in March of 2020.
Wow, that sure did give you quite a bit of time to focus on getting the editing done without having any interruptions.
Well, I still had work because I'm an editor and I work from home a lot, but I just thought this is something I had less people in my head coming at me, so I I would get up early at 5 in the morning and work on this before I started other things.
Oh my goodness, Gail. I mean, I absolutely love this film.
Thank you
And and just like everybody who's seen it, you have to grab a bit of Kleenex, but they're happy tears, because this is a story of victory and triumph, and now out of the seven, there's four champion trackers, and that makes me love Oliver even more.
He's amazing.
He is late. Yeah, absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, if you are a dog lover or a pet owner like me, we all know that our pets are true family members, and we probably treat them better than we treat other people. And don't lie, you know it's true. But the film Puppy Love makes you fall in love with these four incredible puppies and makes you want to give your own pet a hug after watching it. And just like Gail said, Puppy Love is now available on digital and on demand. So look it up on Prime Video, Apple TV, Google TV, and look for the Puppy Love. You'll see the poster with two or three of the puppies on that poster, and you know that you got the right one. And I will tell you this, it is a must-see for any film documentary and any pet lover. And for me, I give it 5 paws. It's that good of a film.
Thank you
I,
so much.
Go ahead, Gail.
Oh, just thank you.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome. And again, ladies and gentlemen, check out Puppy Love. Again, it's on digital, on demand, and it's a beautiful film documentary. And I promise you, this is one of those films that doesn't end sadly. It ends very, very happily. And we need more films like this. So Gail, I hope you have a new film idea for the future.
Oh yeah, there's 3 going on in my head.
Well, I can't wait. And whenever you get those filmed and edited and ready to go, you've got to come back here so we can talk about those projects as well.
It'll be my pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, film director Gail Gilbert and her incredible film, Puppy Love. Again, I'm going to say it. I give it 5 paws, and it is on digital and on demand right now. So when you, after this interview, look it up and watch it. It'll bring a smile to your face and happy tears to your eyes. And as for me, I want to thank you for watching and listening, and I'll see you next time.